to those people's testimonies, because I'm running on I'm running on empty here, guys. I got to admit it, and my attackers are going really hard on me. So I do just kind of want to get through as much information as I can this month. I might not get to everything I want to, but then I'll continue to make videos, and the things that I didn't get to this month, I promise you, I'll get to in the upcoming weeks. And this is us fighting for our lives. So I will continue to make videos and get information out until I'm dead, or until this program is finished, until this experimentation is over, whichever comes first. Which I'm thinking that the experimentation being over will come first. I have a lot of faith and a lot of hope. I am getting really, really ransacked by it, and so I'm pretty depressed. But deep down inside, I have a ton of hope that we are getting so close, and this stuff's gonna blow up. This year, our lives will change this year. I really believe it. Remote neural monitoring, how they spy on your thoughts. How many times did you have thoughts? Get a little bit closer. Guess you're not gonna really be able to see it that great, but I'll just read it to you guys, and y'all can come and look at the article, learningmind.com. Just look up articles on remote neural monitoring. How many times did you have thoughts that you never wanted to share with anyone, and have been constantly worried at the thought of someone ever finding out about these thoughts? All of us have been through this process, and the new and improved technologies being developed around the world, supposedly to deal with crime and terrorism, and inadvertently intrude on one's privacy, should probably bring us all to the brink of paranoia. These technologies are funded by governments at the highest level, and some of the countries involved include the USA, the UK, Spain, Germany, and France. Recently, the infamous National Security Agency of the USA has developed a very efficient method of controlling the human brain. This technology is called remote neural monitoring, and is expected to revolutionize crime detection and investigation. R&M works remotely, so I guess this is pro remote neural monitoring, this article, but really what they're doing with it now is they're not catching criminals. They're experimenting on innocent civilians and kind of letting the criminals go. I don't see them catching a lot of terrorists and baby killers and pedophiles with this stuff. I see them just harassing, normal citizens. So I'm kind of wondering when this happens, when they start taking care of crime with this stuff, instead of just, torturing and mutilating innocent citizens. And I really don't think that time's going to come, because the people who are actually doing this to us are criminals themselves, and so they wouldn't want to hurt their own ilk. R&M works remotely. Ever wondered why have we all been driven relentlessly towards wireless systems? To control the brain under the objective to detect any criminal thought taking place inside the mind of a possible culprit. Okay, so this is a propaganda article saying that remote neural monitoring is really good and they can catch a lot of criminals. I still do want to. I want to read it based on the fact that it shows that it does prove its existence and use by the NSA. But this is very, very slanted in propaganda, because they're not catching any criminals with this. Sadly, I mean, they may be catching a few terrorists and criminals, but mostly it's just experimenting on families, on innocent families and citizens around the world. Inevitable question: how can you isolate a criminal thought if you do not have a comparative measure of non-criminal thoughts? Oh. Maybe that's why they're experimenting on us. I don't know. This undertaking is based on two principles. The research studies have shown that the humanoid intellect thinks at a speed of about 5 kilobits per second, and therefore does not have the capability to contest with supercomputers acting via satellites, implants, and biotelemetry. The human brain has a characteristic set of bioelectric resonance structure. By using supercomputers, the R&M system can home in on it and send messages through an embedded individual's nervous system in order to affect their performance in a preferred way. The entire system has been developed after about 50 years of neuroelectromagnetic human experimentations, claimed to be involuntary, but there is no evidence to support this claim. There's tons of evidence to support this claim, and it is still going on right as we speak. Even to me making this video, it is happening, and there's tons of evidence and tons of testimonies and just tons of stuff, tons of evidence out there. So that's a blatant lie. According to many scientists involved in this program, their names are not revealed for obvious reasons. Within a few years, it is expected that DNA microchips, under the guise of medical breakthroughs that will be presented to launch the disease cure processes on speed and efficiency, will be implanted in the humanoid cerebrum, which would make it inherently controllable. RNM will then have the ability to read and govern a person's emotional mental procedures, along with the involuntary and visions. At present, around the world, supercomputers are watching millions of people at the same time with the speed of 20 terabits per second, particularly in countries like the USA, Japan, Israel, and a number of European countries. A similar program is supposedly underway in Russia. How does RNM work? It employs a set of programs functioning at different levels, like the Signals Intelligence System, which applies electromagnetic frequencies, EMF, to excite the brain for the system and electronic brain link. The brain stimulation system that has been planned as particle emission intelligence, which means receiving information from unintentionally created electromagnetic waves in the environment. However, it is not related to radioactivity or nuclear detonation. The recording machines that have electronic equipment to examine electrical action in human beings from afar. This computer-generated brain charting can always record all electrical events in the cerebrum. The recording aid system deciphers individual brain maps for security purposes, for experimentation purposes. So that's for security purposes is propaganda. They mean to say, if they were telling the truth, they would say for experimentation purposes. And I mean, this article makes me sick, but once again, target individuals. I'm reading it just to prove the existence of remote neural monitoring technology. It makes me sick how this is slanted towards it being great and catching criminals, because that is not true at all. They may do that on like a 1% basis, catch terrorists and criminals with this stuff. But why are so many why are so many shootings taking place and terrorist events still going on if they could use this successfully, and we're just using it on the bad guys? So 2 + 2 = 4. I'm going to keep saying that 2 + 2 = 4 at a subconscious level. Maybe we can pick it up. The underlying technology of this system takes under consideration that the electrical activity in the speech center of the brain can be translated into the subject's verbal thoughts. RNM can send encrypted signals to the audio cortex of the brain, directly circumventing the ear. This encoding assists in detecting audio communication. It can also perform electrical mapping of the cerebrum's activity from the visual center. So, this encoding assists in detecting audio communication. It can also perform electrical mapping of the cerebrum's activity from the visual center, which is achieved by avoiding the eyes and optic nerves, consequently projecting imageries from the subject's mind onto a video display. With this visual and audio memory, both can be visualized and analyzed. So, I mean, this is the NSA has admitted to this technology. Then they're trying to spin it into something great to catch criminals, and that's a lie. But the importance of this article is that the NSA has admitted to having this technology, and they are using it on innocent people like me, with a bunch of other integrated systems to torture and just see what we're going to do, see our reactions, experiment on us, torture us, work it along with DHS fusion centers and InfraGard, making a Zerzitsung society of destroying people's lives and kind of just seeing what happens, and seeing how their brain reacts and how they can control people or torture them to the point of incoherency. The machinery involved can remotely and non-invasively, and non-invasively is basically what I call a bold-faced lie, because invading the brain is the most invasive thing you can ever do. Let me move forward without too much more editorial. Detect information by digitally decoding the evoked potentials in 30 to 50 megahertz, 5 milliwatt electromagnetic emissions from the cerebrum. Evoked potentials are called the spikes and patterns created by the nerves, as they produce a shifting electrical pattern with an ever-changing magnetic instability, which then puts on a constant amount of electromagnetic waves. The interesting part about this is that the entire exercise is carried out without any physical contact with the subject. The EMF emissions can be decoded into current thoughts and audio-visual perception in the subject's gumption. So remember the how the cat sees things. That's how they can do audio-visual perception of the person they're experimenting on, the human test subject. It sends complicated ciphers and electromagnetic pulse signals to activate evoked potentials inside the mind, consequently generating sound and visual input in the neural circuits. With its speech, auditory, and visual communication arrays, R&M allows for a comprehensive audio-visual mind-to-mind connection or a mind-to-computer connection. And mind-to-mind connection, I find that's a misnomer because it's not somebody's mind connected to your mind. Their mind has to pass through a remote neural platform, so it'd really be mind to computer to mind. I feel that's a necessary distinction that I have to make, because it's not like psychic mind-to-mind connection. It is really somebody's mind and brain waves being matched to yours, then shot through a system with directed energy to certain areas of your brain. The mechanism needs to decrypt the resonance frequency of each specific site to modulate the input of information in that specific location of the cerebrum. Furthermore, R&M can detect audio via microwaves and features the broadcast of precise directives into the subconscious, producing visual disorders, illusions, and installation of words and numbers into the brain through radiation waves. With all the given paybacks for tracing the unlawful and traitorous activities, there are many alarms and dangers being pointed out by the human rights advocates and scientists. With all the given paybacks for tracing the unlawful and traitorous activities, that is crazy slander. I mean, that is crazy slanted propaganda. I mean, that's crazy. But let me read on and be disgusted. The agencies of human rights worldwide have criticized the system as an affront to the basic human rights because it violates privacy and the dignity of considerations and events of life. I would totally agree with that last sentence. Several countries have opposed it and refer to it as an offense on their human and civil rights. Along with other biological concerns voiced by scientists, R&M remains a controversial technology, which is being used in many countries for security maintenance and surveillance, and is also being used to experiment on citizens around the world, innocent citizens around the world who have done nothing to anyone in their life, and their thoughts are normal. But with remote neural manipulation, things can actually be implanted into the visual cortex, can be implanted into the inner voice of the person they're experimenting on, or just torturing, to actually to make their thoughts pretty chaotic and to make their life very, very hard, a bid for survival, every day. Alright guys, I'm kind of getting to 45 minutes. I didn't realize this article was going to slant it to where they're using it for crime prevention, because that's not happening. It may be happening like 1%. It may be 1% of how they're using remote neural monitoring and these surveillance techniques. They may be doing it 1%, but if they got off of all of these, me and my family who are innocent, all the target individuals that I talk to who are innocent, and then totally focused on terrorists and criminals, we might have a better world. I would still have a problem with that because of human rights violations. I think that just with traditional surveillance or some of the more higher tech surveillance, they could catch terrorists and criminals. But I'm not going to get too much because I'm coming up to 45 minutes. So I'm not going to editorialize too much more. I just wanted to introduce that that information about remote neural monitoring again. So I did the patents a while back, but I want to keep just doing a deluge of information on this stuff so people can see, hey, this exists. Then listen to our testimonies, and 2 + 2 = 4. 2 + 2 = 4. 2 + 2 = 4. 2 + 2 = 4. Alright guys, So I'll see you guys on the next one. God is behind us, and let's just keep getting information out. And let's keep